Thank you for coming back to Full Spectrum Survival. Yesterday we talked to you about guerrilla gardening, and today we promised to come back and start the execution of that plan, or I should say that experiment. I've dug a small hole here. It's out of the way. It's off the beaten path. Some of the considerations that we had were it being a tomato plant, and obviously it needs some height on it. So the resource that we use for the predator barrier, I'm going to have to stand up, and it's going to be kind of obvious if you get past some of these trees. We also had some consideration with overhead lighting, how much light we were going to get, some of the bigger areas that we really wanted to go into. The soil there, when we looked at it, we didn't feel it was rich enough without some type of additive, so we wanted to give this one a really good shot and start there. So what I've done is I've cut a few small sticks. Haven't fully thought out how I was going to improvise the barrier. We did try the 2-liter bottle, and it completely failed. I might have possibly irrigated the soil too much for the root system for the plant, but when we put it in, we lost probably a quarter of the water. The rest I used to wash my hands, but probably about a quarter of the water, and there was no stopping it. I'm going to take it home and put it in a 5-gallon bucket and see if I pack the soil, semi-tight, if we can stop the consistent drip, which looks like I'll be walking around with a 5-gallon bucket watering these plants if this doesn't work. So we took a small folding stainless steel shovel. I mean, you can pick them up at Walmart for $4 or $5, and dug the hole. And I'm going to go ahead and put the barrier on now. I don't want to be too technical in terms of putting together the barrier. I think a simple barrier will work. It's not going to hold the large animals if they decided to reach in, but it surely will stop the smaller animals that I think are going to be the #1 predator here besides the insects. So we'll just stake this down. And I'll come back and obviously for some of the other plants we'll try some different barrier methods, not knowing really, having not done this before, what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I'll just catch both sides on this one, on this side, and stretch it out. Okay. So there you have it, and I will go ahead and give it the last bit of this water. Okay, one down of many. Now, some of the considerations that we've had to take into account are what's the plan in terms of the execution of a guerrilla garden, which we think in our general estimation is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 600 plants. Could be as low as 100 to 200 depending on what the yield is and what the survivability rate is. Obviously, you're going to have to go out of the house with a plan, whether you're going to sprout somewhere else or sprout in a colony type of environment, and then draw a rough sketch of where you're going to actually plant the plants and where you're going to have to come back to water the plants if that's necessary in your area. One of the things we are going to do is we're going to take some of the plants that we have, and we are going to put them really close to water sources like lakes. We have some irrigation ditches here that we think will work, a couple feet off of the irrigation ditch to bring water in, and maybe those we won't have to water as much. You might ask why we're shooting this at night. Well, there's two reasons. The first reason is the heat index, which we utilize the wet bulb index that the military uses, was at a category 5 today. So according to the chart that we've been using, that gives you, with a 30-pound pack, walking in soft sand, about 10 minutes of work for 50 minutes of rest, and having to consume about a quart of water per hour. The heat is just really unbearable here. We've chosen to work at night. Obviously, in a real-world environment, we wouldn't be able to have flashlights. You'd have to pick nights where there were moonlight, and you'd have some navigation ability at night. The second reason is we feel that the more familiar you are with your surroundings, the better off you'll be. So the more you spend time at night, whether it's going for a walk in your neighborhood, whether it's walking around a rural property or a friend's property, or just generally camping, the more attuned you're going to be to all the different sights and sounds. We have a lot of wild animals here, so there are a lot of sounds for your brain to register and to get familiar with. You spend a little bit of time out, and you start to be able to tell what's the rustling in the leaves and the size of the animal by how hard the ground shakes. And we think that that's good practice for anyone who's interested in bushcraft, camping, survival, prepping, long-term sustainment. It's just to know your environment. And this is one of the things that we're trying to practice as we go out there and experiment with different things. And again, we thank you for watching, and we thank you for coming along with us, and we encourage your comments, and we encourage anyone else that would like to get involved in this and be able to share feedback from different geographical locations. Thanks for being with us. Take care.